Welcome, welcome, welcome. You have arrived at Behind the Listing Admins and Assistant Essentials Paragon Connect edition. I do want to let you know that we are recording and I will be making that recording available to everybody. With that, we're going to go ahead and get started. But I want to introduce to you, for those of you who may not know, if you're newer, your GPR MLS team. There are four of us who make up GPR MLS, starting with Denise Mache. Denise is our MLS operations manager, and she has been with the MLS for 18 years. We are very happy that she is leading our team, keeping us going in the right direction. She asks those really tough questions with the industry to make sure that we have the information that we need so that we can serve you best. Say hello to Denise. She is with us here today, followed by Beth Powers with MLS Compliance Administrator. She handles all of our MLS rules compliance. So those rules questions that you have, can I do this? Can I say that? How many days do I have for this? She's your gal. She also handles the data integrity, so think data accuracy, as well as system issues. Paragon is not acting right. She would be the person you'd want to call. And she also heads up our MLS users group. Renee Westfall follows up, and she is our MLS data and customer support administrator, and she knows a little bit about everything. So if you're not sure where to start, she handles general assistance. That might be a great place to start. She can probably get you all fixed up, but if not, she knows where we need to get you. She also handles the data integrity, that accuracy piece, but she is our expert when it comes to data feed and our data vendor access. How would that apply to you? You've got a brand new listing. It goes live in the MLS and it's not showing up on realtor.com. Renee would be the person that you would call on that. She can take a really quick look at that listing, see if it's something that maybe it was a button that didn't click, or if it's a Paragon issue, or maybe it's a realtor.com issue, but she can figure that out and get you taken care of on that. And then there's me. I am JC. I am your MLS trainer. If you didn't know you have one, you definitely do now. Prior to this position, 25 years ago, I began my real estate career in Conifer, Colorado as a broker associate, decided to go back and get my employing broker's license, moved to Missouri and practiced there. And I've also practiced here in Nebraska. And I've used Paragon here in Nebraska. I think that helps me out when you and I are talking and you've got questions or not sure how to get something to work the way you want to. I get it because I've had to do that too. With that, we are available to you Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:45. You can always find us if you go to the gprmls.com. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that you bookmark that page because there's tons of information there. You can find our information on the staff page. The tabs are up here. Go over here to contact us. We're the very first one. You will notice that we have all of the associations here that make up Great Plains Regional MLS. You'll find our information here as well as Paragon Customer Care. They are available to you outside of our hours, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., as well as Saturdays from 9 to 3 and Sundays from 11 to 3. You can find that information right there. What you're going to learn today, we're going to talk about entering and managing listings, copying, cloning. Hopefully you'll learn something that will make your life a little bit easier. We're going to talk about uploading and organizing your listing photos. Paragon Connect makes that super, super, super easy. I'm excited to show that to you. We're also going to be talking as we go because we're talking about inputting listings or making changes to listings. That brings us right into MLS compliance and the common mistakes that we see. We'll be talking about how to avoid those. And if you have questions about that, ask. We do have Beth here with us. She is the expert. If I don't know the answer, she'll be able to help us out with that. And then hopefully we'll have a chance to be able to preview those seller side activity reports within the Collab Center and talking a little bit about reverse prospecting so that you'll have a handle on that. But we're going to live mainly with listings and different things that you can do that hopefully will make your life a little bit easier. And with that, if I was in person, I would ask for a show of hands. I'm going to ask for how many agents do we have in here? You can throw it in the chat if you're an agent or an assistant or an admin person. Give me an idea of who I'm working with today, because sometimes your questions are going to be very different. And I'm seeing those come in. It looks like we've got an agent. We got some assistants. All right, we're going to have a great blend here. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you. The reason I bring this up is each and every single one of you, whether you're an admin, whether you're an assistant or a TC for one agent, two agents, 5 agents, 10 agents, whatever it is, or if you are your own agent, everybody has their very own username and password. If you are logging in as somebody else because you're taking care of them or working with them, you are in violation. I'm sorry to tell you that. Can end up to be a big one. You could be looking at up to a $15,000 fine as per the MLS rules. Not to scare you, but we do have applications available to admins and assistants. There's no additional charge to fill one of those out on behalf for your agent. You are working, if you're an assistant, a TC, an admin, you are working under the agent supervision. It's really important that you always, always, always log in under your own username and your own password, and we are happy to give you one. You'll assume the identity of the person that you're working with, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. You can find that applications. If you learned something new today, go to gprmls.com, go to the forms page. We have the assistant applications there, and I'm going to show you where you can find that. Here we go. Here is your MLS, gprmls.com page. I went right to forms, but if you happen to go someplace else, go to these tabs and go to resources and information, your MLS forms and docs. And then scroll down, and right here, those applications live right here. They're always there. And if you forget where to find it, email one of us. We're happy to send it to you. Your association will send it to you. Whatever you need to do, you'll get your very own username and password. Why else would I need to have one of those besides the fact that it's a violation? I don't know if anybody's ever had this happen, but when you're logged in, and let's say you're working with that agent and you're using their username and password because they said, oh, use my username and password. Don't do that. But let's say you did, and you're working on putting a listing in, and then they decide they need to get in because they don't know that you're in there, and they log in and you got kicked out. Or vice versa. Maybe they're working on something, searching properties, looking in the MLS for stuff, maybe doing a CMA, and you log in to do something and they get kicked out. All of everything that you're working on is gone if you weren't hitting save. And it's really frustrating. That is the number one thing. It will kick somebody out because it's only meant to have one person, the user, using that account. Always make sure that you are logging in responsibly using your own username and password, then assuming the identity of the agent that you're going to be doing work with. That application is not scary at all. If you need help, we're happy to help you with it, but this is what you're looking for. And I pulled up a personal assistant one, and it's fillable, easy. And it's going to ask you a few questions. You'll fill that out. And at the bottom here, it tells you where to send that completed application. Don't hesitate to make sure that you have that. Why else would you need to have that? It's important that we know, you know, your agents know. If we get asked, if a mistake is made, generally what happens is we get asked, "Who? I didn't do that. How did that happen? Who did that? It's you must have done something." We don't, but they're going to want to know. And if a mistake is made, a mistake is made. It becomes important, and we need to be able to answer that. But the biggest reason is it's going to kick you out, and it's a violation. Enough about that. That's where you can find the form. That's where you can find the application, get that sent in, and you'll have your very own username. And moving right along, let's talk about listing entry essentials. And then we are going to bounce between here and Paragon Connect. A couple things that we're going to talk about with regarding your listing entry essentials are there are some required fields. They're marked on the input forms with an asterisk, and hopefully all agents are using a input form. I loved using it as a cheat sheet because every single field on your input form is in the MLS. It's a field that might be a required one. If it's got an asterisk by it, it is a required one, but it's also a great cheat sheet. The residential input form itself is 6 pages long, two pages are nothing but features. And because you think a feature is called one thing doesn't mean that's what it's called in the MLS. It makes a great cheat sheet. And I would love to say that I came up with that all by myself, but I didn't. It was one of the very first things I learned from Denise. That 18 years worth of experience comes in handy. But you can use that as a cheat sheet. One, it tells you all the different fields that are in there. Two, if you're looking for something and it's in the features, but you're not sure what it's called, look at the residential input form and go to features. It will tell you, one, where that field is located, and two, what it's called. And then when you type it in there into your features piece, you can find it. So it's great. That input form, and we've got several. We've got a residential one, land, multifamily, residential, rental, and auction. I linked up the residential one because that's the one that most everybody is using the most often. It's lengthy. It's 6 pages. Not all of it is going to apply to the property that you're doing. But if it does, it's there. The asterisks right here, you can see are all of the required ones that you're going to need to fill out. And what I did as an agent on this is I used this as part of my due diligence, making sure that I had everything in there that I needed to put in. And if I forgot something, I highlighted it. So when I went to meet with my photographer, I could see what it was that I didn't have and get it while I was right there on site. So these are updated all the time. I would bookmark where those are so that you're always using the most updated form. Okay. And then the other form that is, it's not really a form, it's a guide. And I didn't know about this when I was an agent. So I talk a lot about it as a trainer, and that is the measuring and definitions guide. This thing is amazing. It has measuring tips in here, it has definitions in here. It will tell you some style definitions on the different types of homes that you might have, as far as the difference between a ranch and a bungalow or a split level or a two-story, and on and on. It has all that. It also has links for additional information and definitions. So NIFA, do you know if the property is in a NIFA area? The easiest way to tell is to you can go to the measuring guide, click on that link. It will take you to NIFA. There's a spot in there where you can add your address and look it up, and it tells you it is or it isn't. There's no guesswork there. It also will tell you the difference. What the heck does the trackage field mean? It has to do with railroad tracks. The difference between a walkout basement and a walk up basement. There is a difference between them. Daylight. What's a daylight mean? It's all in there. And at some point or other, as an agent, one of those fields would cause me a quick, what? What does that mean? The answer is probably right in here. Great resource. And again, we keep that updated as well. So I would bookmark that so it is always there for you. And those two little things there, making sure that you're using the input forms as well as have that measuring guide, will help you tremendously. We're also going to talk about using CRS data autofill. Does anybody use that? Do you know what that is? Drop that in the chat and we'll get a feel for where everybody is. CRS data autofill for your listings. All right. We got to know. I love CRS data autofill because CRS data is the courthouse retrieval system. It is within your MLS, and you can look up information and make sure that the people that you're talking to are the people selling it, and how it's titled and what liens are on it. We're going to look at that, but it also autofills your listing. So it pulls over some information, which cuts your listing input time in half. And I don't know about you, but I cannot stand having to input the parcel ID number because I'm afraid I'm going to make a typo. It puts it in there for you. So that takes care of that piece for you. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then also, did you know you can copy a listing? Why would I want to copy a listing? I don't know. Maybe we're on the market a little longer than we usually are. We're canceling it and then putting it back in as a new listing with a new price. If you do that, you could copy that listing, which will definitely save you time. The only thing I caution you with, and I do it also with the CRS data autofill piece, is make sure you're double checking your information. I'm going to show you how to do that, and we are going to go do some of this right now. We'll bounce around back and forth in between this PowerPoint and actual Paragon. We're going to go there now, and I'm going to make this nice and big so we can see everything. It didn't kick me out. Normally, you would log in. Now, I want to tell you, I'm using a trainer account because we are working with listings today. If I were to go into the live account that you use and talk about listings, I would be inputting it would be looking like they were real listings. And if I was changing anything on a real listing, I would be making live changes. And yeah, that's not good because it's not a real listing. We're in a trainer account. And the reason I tell you that is my stuff might look a little bit different than yours. And it's not because you're missing anything. It's because it's a trainer account. Having done that, the first thing I did was I used my very own username and password. And now I'm going to assume the identity of JC because she's the agent that I'm going to be doing work with today. And so I go on up here to where my name is and assume identity. Now, if you're working for more than one agent, you may have to scroll through to find the agent that you're working with, or you may have to type their name in, like I'm doing. And I want this one. And then I click assume. Yes, I'm not having any changes. I really want to do that. So here we go. And now I am in Paragon Professional for JC Trainer. That's the person I'm going to be working with today. Now, I'm in Professional. When I opened this class, I told you we're going to be doing Paragon Connect. If you're an agent, you can use Paragon Connect on your mobile device, which means you can also, if you're an agent and you have access to input your own listings, you can do it on your phone, on your tablet, on your iPad, wherever it is you are at. If you are an admin or assistant, you're going to do it on your computer. And you're going to do it by going up to the top with these wonderful little icons. The very last one is Paragon Connect. And there you are. If you've never been in Paragon Connect, you are looking at your dashboard, your launch page, your home page. You can customize this as much as you want to, that it will allow. That's a whole other class. I want you to know your information might look a little bit different depending on what you're doing. These are tabs. You have a buyer tab and a seller tab. You've got listings. They're going to be showing up in there for you. Lots of different information available to you here. This is your main menu, which is where we're going to go first. What we're going to do is input a listing. I go to my main menu and I go to listings, and it brings up my listings, my published listings, my unpublished listings. These are tabs. If I had unpublished listings maybe that I was working on in Paragon Professional, they were known as partial listings. These are unpublished, the same as your partials. They might be in there here if you've got anything getting ready to expire, if you've got any upcoming broker tours, your open houses, that kind of thing. But none of that matters for right now because we're going to enter a listing. And the first thing I'm going to do is whenever you see a plus sign, that means you're going to add something. When you click on that here, you can either do manual, which means you're going to enter every single thing into the fields, or you can use that tax autofill that I was telling you about. That's what I'm going to click on today. And then it asks me which tax one do you want, the autofill for Iowa or Nebraska. The property I'm working on is in Nebraska. And it's going to ask you for a county. And the county that my listing then is Lancaster. I started typing that in and you'll see it brought me to this field. Now, here is where I'm going to caution you and say a little goes a long way when you're working with CRS data. If you filled in every single one of these, you might not get the listing or the information you're looking for because you might have something in there a little bit different. You can use a address, you can use owner first name or a last name and see where you go. I usually go ahead and put in the address, and the listing I'm going to put in is in 1965 on Ryan. And then I'm going to click search. And it came up. That is the property that I want to use. I'm going to click on the autofill button. It's going to ask me what kind of listing is it going to be. This one is a residential, and I'm going to click on create. And here we are at the very beginning. What I want to point out to you is it has autofilled some information in here for me. It has put in my information as a listing agent. It has put in my office information, and that happens anyway. But here is where it autofilled. Put in the address, put in the city, the state, put in my parcel number, it put in the subdivision. Those are your basic things that it puts in for you, and it saves you a little time. Now, across the top here, you've got some icons, one of them being the magnifying glass. That means you can search. If you are wanting to put in specific information, you don't want to go through line by line, you can start searching for that field by clicking on that and start typing it in. Maybe you want to put the bedrooms in. You start typing in, the first three letters come up, and it brings up everything that has BED in there, and then I can start adding some of that information. You'll notice that the bedrooms already has a field in there because CRS data brought it over. I'm going to caution you here, however, the bedroom field happens to be one of the most common things that we will see a mistake or a violation in, and it has to do with a non-conforming bedroom. You cannot put a non-conforming bedroom in the bedroom field. What I mean by that is it must have the properly sized egress window in it in order to be a bedroom in the bedroom field. If it doesn't have that, you can't put that number in there. If this for one of these bedrooms of the 4 doesn't have a properly sized egress window in there, I would need to change that to 3, but I could talk about that other room as a bonus room all day long in public remark. That is a common thing. Don't get caught in that. Make sure that you know, does it have the properly sized egress window? You can change that. You can add all these other different things. The other thing I wanted to show you is maybe you have a little bit of time and you're wanting to get started and you want to tuffle out the required fields, only the required ones. And you don't want to hunt for them. You don't want to have to go through each one of these containers and open them up and look for the ones that have this little asterisk on it. Click on this next little thing and notice that when I hover on it, it gives me the answer of what it is. This is the required field only. If I click on it, it now brings up all the required fields and I can go through field by field and start filling them out. We have used CRS data to autofill. I have shown you how to search for the field that you're looking for. I have shown you how to pull up the required only. I'm going to start at the beginning. Start with status. When do you have to have your listings in the MLS? You have to have them in within 2 dates of the listing date. The listing date is the date in your contract. It says it begins on 2 days from that. If you don't publicly market it, if I have a listing that has the date in there for today as my beginning listing date, today is Wednesday, it's Wednesday. That would mean if I did no public marketing at all, I would have to have it in the MLS by Friday. If I left the sign in the yard or I put something out on my social media about a brand new listing that was coming, I have then marketed it and I would have to have it in the MLS tomorrow, is on Thursday. Keep that in mind. You can use the new status, but if that property is not going to be available for showings for more than 7 calendar days, you have to use the coming soon, no showing status. Coming soon, no showings means that it's coming soon and you're not taking showings for more than 7 calendar days and is meant to be used at the beginning of your listing. So you have to use it 7 calendar days. You can adjust the time on that because once you use the coming soon status, down here where it has your list date and your expiration date, you'll notice I'm going to fill in this date while I'm here that today is my list date and it's going to expire. I'm going to make it quick. Then, but the available to show date pops up and I've got to put in a date there. And I'm going to put in here on 11/29/25. No, I'm not. There we go. That is when the available to show date is. When I've got everything in here that I want and I click on this and I click save, everything goes great. They get all the things done that they needed to get done. The stager was able to get in there. The photos came in and they're perfect. And they can now show this. It's available to be shown sooner. The only thing you have to do is go back in here and adjust your available to show date. Once you click save, it will move it to that new status for you. If you try to do it yourself and move it to new without changing this date, moving it, it's not going to go over the way that you want it to. And you can call Beth or Renee and they can fix that for you. It happens. We get calls for that all the time. Coming soon, no showings, available to show date is required. I'm putting in some basic information here. I'm not going to go through and fill out every single thing in here, but I do want to show you that some of this information that is in here is not easily readily findable sometimes. You have to go to a lot of different places. Here's that NIFA target area I was telling you. Non-standard form. That is in the measuring guide, measuring and definitions guide, if you're not sure what that is. There's also in here, and maybe I went by it. There it is, lot size. It asks you for what lot size range it's in. You click in that, but then it asks you for total acres. And I get the question a lot of, JC, I said it's between here, it's up to 1/4 acres. Why do I have to put that in there? It's a required field. Where do I find it? In CRS data. You can find it there. It's on an assessor page. I'm going to bounce out of this. Required fields aren't there. Hold on. If you go to your resources, go to CRS data tax search and start adding your address in here. You do need to have a county in there and submit. It will bring you up to here. Now, I use this as part of my due diligence. And usually what I do is I print this from my hard file and I save it to PDF for my electronic files that I can show that I did my due diligence. But right here are the measurements that are a required field in the MLS that you need. And then I can view county search. But there's tons of information in here on the CRS data courthouse retrieval system. They pull information from the assessor sites, from the courthouse, any deed changes, all of that stuff, and they put it all together in here for you. Shows me the current owner. If this was in a trust, I would know that I need to mention something to them that, hey, once we get an offer and we get all negotiated and under contract, and this goes to the title company, they're probably going to ask you for your trust documents to make sure that this property is allowed to be sold within the trust and that they get the right signatories. They're going to ask for that. It's always great if you can have that conversation beforehand, because if they don't have them, they're probably going to have to go to an attorney, and who knows how long it's going to take them to get that for it. If you've got a quick closing, that could be a problem. But it's going to show you sales history, tax information, mortgage history, any foreclosure information, and my all-time favorite, FEMA. I hate having to find FEMA, the actual website, but it tells me, is this in a flood zone? If it was, it would probably have X, means it's not, but AE is a common one we see. But it also gives me the firm panel ID. If I needed more information, if I clicked on that, it takes me right to FEMA for this property where I can see where it is. It's not going to show you this because I'm in a trainer account, but sometimes when I'm using my trainer account, it won't give me that address. It gives me all the information that I could possibly want if this was in a flood zone. There's that. But to go back to that acreage piece that I got on a tangent about, you click on your assessor stuff. And for Lancaster County, it takes me right in. Not all of the counties do that. Some of the counties say you have to enter the property address. And again, it depends on the county and what their permissions are. But if I go to the data sheet here, which is also part of my due diligence, and I've never left the MLS environment. I didn't have to go outside of this to go find it. It brings this up for me. This is a trainer account thing. I'm sorry for the delay, but it gives me all this information that I might need. Oh, here's building permits right here. That might be something I would need to know as a listing agent. Then there's information on the house. And right here on the bottom of that first page, total acres, 0.15. I now can go back over here to my calendar or my Paragon Connect and put in 1.5. And I didn't have to go hunt for it in pages and pages and pages of assessor information. It was right there for me. I wanted to share that with you. Brought that over from the autofill. I'd entered the school district, which in this case is Lincoln Public Schools. I'd enter the grade schools. If you happen to be working in a smaller town, sometimes the grade school might not be in here. We are adding things all the time. If you don't see it in there, give us a call and we can see about getting that in for you, or you can always click the other button. There is an other here, I think. Where is that? Beth, remind me, how do I get?
Yep, you have to do other for school district first.
Yeah. There we go. See, I don't input listings anymore like I used to. Some of those things I forget. Other. If you're not finding your school district, you can do that, but you can also call us and we can see if we can get it added for you. Thank you, Beth, for the assist. I appreciate that. I could do that, or I could put it back. The other thing that you can do, let's see, what is there? If I hit everything here that I wanted to. Here's all those features I was talking about, but these are the only ones that are required. Having said that, does that mean I should only fill out the required information? I'm going to say fill out as much as you can, because the more information that you put in to the MLS, the more accurate those listings are going to be. That helps everybody. It helps agents find other listings. If you have a very strong feeling about not doing it that way, or your broker tells you not to do it the way I said and says do the required field, then you do that. But the more information you put in here, the better off it is for everybody. It makes it easier to find if somebody's looking for something super, super specific. You can also add photos here, which I'm going to show you now. I'm going to save this as a partial listing because I'm not done. I clicked on the save button right down here in the lower right-hand corner, and it says, do I want to publish this, or do I want to save unpublished? I'm not done with it yet. I have something else I need to go do. I'm going to save it as unpublished. But if I were to hit the publish button, I would get all kinds of messages saying, you didn't fill this one out and it's required. You didn't fill this one out and it's required. But it's not going to let me make the mistake of publishing something with a field that is required missing. It's also going to give me some reminders. You may get some messages that say something about commission. Anytime you put something in there that has a dollar amount in there, a seller is willing to pay, I'm going to use a ridiculous number, $1 towards buyer's closing costs. The minute you put that $1 in there, it says, oh, we have a figure in here. I'm going to send you a reminder to make sure you're not saying anything about commission. That is a violation. When you get that, don't panic. Make sure that you're checking and making sure that you input in what you want it to. I'm going to save this from published because I want to show you how to copy a listing. But we're going to want to come back to this. I've saved that. And we're going to go here. I am needing to find a listing that the most common situation we see is where somebody has an active listing and they're canceling it and then they're going to put it back in the market. But my situation, what I'm going to use is I sold a property to a client and now they are selling it with me. I'm going to use an old sold. I'm going to go to my published, but it is showing me my actives because I have this thing over here called a filter. If I click on the filter over here, it then asks me, what do you want to look for? I am looking for a sold. But if I were looking for a canceled listing, I could click on here and it would bring up all my canceled. On this particular situation, I'm going to hit apply. And this is the listing I want to work with. It brings it up for me. And 3 little dots. Whenever you see those 3 little dots, it means you have more. I refer to it as my options because I have more things that I can do. And since I know what my more things are to do, I always click on it to see what I can do. And the very first thing is it's actions and I can copy my listing. There's also all these other things that I could do with this listing. And that's a whole nother class, but we're going to go copy this listing. And it's going to ask me, do I want to copy the documents, the photos, the contact? In this situation, I'm not going to copy any of that because I'm going to need all new everything so that it's updated. But if it was a canceled listing, I might want to bring over all those things and it saves me time. It has now put in all this information. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about copying listings is you can only copy a listing if you haven't changed brokerages. If you've changed brokerages and you want to copy a listing that you had when you were at that other brokerage, you can't do that. You're going to have to use, I would use the tax autofill. But if you haven't changed anything and it was your listing, you can copy till your little heart's content. Then these are all containers here. You open them and you're going to go in and start making your changes because if they've lived there for a long time, they may have finished off a room. Who knows what they've done. But you'll start adding that information in here. Again, here's the little star for those required fields. There you go. That's how easy it was to copy it. Other things up here, you've got that search, so you can find different fields. You've got the required ones, pictures right here. You can click on it there, or you can click on it at the other spot. I want to add my pictures. You click the plus button at the bottom. Now, if I had copied my pictures, it would show me where it was. And I'm going to find my listing. Where is it? Desktop. There it is. Pretend this is still Ryan's. And there's my photos. I'm going to grab the photos that I want. Get on time. And it's going to take it a little while. It will take it a couple minutes to upload. It's faster for you than it is in my trainer account. This is where that lag piece is coming, but it will upload my photos. And I have some choices once I get there. You can edit your photos in Paragon Connect. You can add labels if you want to. One big thing that you'll find if you're working with model homes, do not forget if it is a model home that those photos have got to have model stamped across it. You cannot do it as a label here. It's got to be stamped across. But here's my photos and they uploaded and that's great, except they're not in the order that I want them to be in. And in Paragon Professional, this is a real pain to do. But in Paragon Connect, it's super easy. So I can reorder them. Across the top here, I've got some things. I can tag both my labels. I could select all of them. Maybe I uploaded the wrong folder or something. But in this one, I want to reorder them. And that's what these little arrows are. So click on that. And then all I have to do is grab the photo that I want. And I do not want it to be the room of the living room there. I want it to be that main room. And I'm going to grab it and pull it. Now, having said that, agents, if you are uploading your photos from Paragon Connect on your phone, don't do what I did when I was testing this. It's not a click. It's not a click and hold and drag. It's a touch it and slide, touch it and slide to where you want it to go. If you do it the way I was done, and I was thinking I had to click and hold it, so I was double tapping on my phone trying to move the photo, it won't work for you. You can call us if you forget what I told you about it, but it truly is. It's touch it and slide it to where you want it. In this case, you're clicking it and moving it where you want it. I can move the rest of the pictures, and I like my pictures to go into the flow of how I go in the house. We all have our preferences of how we want to do that. I like the bedrooms first. All right, so I've moved those all around and click save. And that's how easy that was for me to do. Let's see. I clicked on this one and this is where I'm going to. I could throw it away. Maybe I uploaded one I didn't want, or maybe I put one in there and it doesn't look as fabulous as I thought it was going to. I could either throw it away or I could click on my more options here and I could go into my image editor or I could replace it. Image editor allows you to do some stuff. You can zoom in, zoom out. I think I've got yeah, I had pause one moment while I'm moving my zoom controls out of my way so I can see what's actually on my screen. I can crop this picture by using these tools here. It gives me, I can custom crop it, and it's got some preset settings here. Make sure that if you do crop, let's say I'm going to do I'll do this one. You want it to be a square. Make sure you hit apply or it won't take. You can flip that picture up or down, however you want, this way, that way. You can reset it if you didn't want to do any of that or you're playing around to see what you could do. You can rotate your photo. You can draw on your photo. Be very careful if you're drawing on your photo because the rules are very specific about what you can and cannot do. You can do shapes, lots of things you can do here. There's a filter here even. So if you want this to be in grayscale, or maybe you want to give it a little different look, whatever you want to do, maybe it's a little, you need to sharpen it up a little bit. You can change some of your brightness. You can tint it. You've got many different options that you can do here. Make sure if you make any changes that you click the save button or you'll be doing that all over again. So you've got that. Here we are. Back in here, I can replace that. Anytime any of you ever had a situation where your seller does not want their pictures to be fed out and they want it to be marked private, you can do that as well. I'm going to jump out of that section, but I can select all, and then it brings up a little tab here, and I can throw them all away if I want to. But in this situation, that's not what I want to do. I need to move my controls, my zoom controls again. There we go. The little eye here with the line through it, if you hover over it, it tells you it's marking these public or private. These are now all private, and it tells you that. But maybe I hit that by mistake. So select them all and then put them back, making them public. So you can do that if you need to. You can, this is where you upload your documents. This is your associated documents. Associated documents that you're required to have in 2 days from the time of it being input, not the available to show date. It's a common misconception that as long as my associated documents are in there by the time it's available to be seen, I'm good. You're not good. You have to have it within 2 days of it being input. When you click that publish button, That's when the timer is clicking. To add those, you can click on your plus button and then you go upload your file. Choose your file, find the file that you want, which I don't really have any. I'm going to pretend that is an associated document. You're going to name it. Let's pretend that this document is the seller's property disclosures. There are two documents that are required in those 2 days, and that would be your seller's property disclosures or the lead-based paint if it's applicable, that 1978. Those are the two that are required. Any of the other things that you want to upload that are within the rules are outside of that. The only other thing that you would have, if you've checked any of the green fields saying that it's an Energy Star home, you have to upload those certifications. You can't say it's a greenhouse. Those would also be included in that 2 day window. Examples of things that you can upload as an associated document, that would be obviously your seller's property disclosure, an exemption form if it's exempt, the lead-based paint. You can upload the covenants. You can upload the plat map. You can upload, I'm drawing a total blank. Beth, you might have to help me here. I don't have my slide in front of me. You can upload a blank piece of paper with the improvements. When you showed up, your seller was super excited because they had listed out all the things they did to get their house ready to be sold. It needs to be on a blank piece of paper. Those brand new windows by Anderson, the brand new HVAC, the all those things they put on there, it was professionally staged or professionally painted. You can upload that in there. You can even upload a utility bill as long as there is not identifying information on there, account numbers, their name, stuff like that can go there as well. Things that you cannot put into associated docs would be the affiliated business disclosure, notes on how to submit an offer. If you're with an REO company listing with that, or working with a relocation, they sometimes have their own documents that they want. And we all think, oh, make them available in the associated docs. No, 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 you cannot. I would put a note in agent remarks saying, hey, contact me for instructions on submitting an offer. Keep that in mind. Then you put these in here and you can say whether or not you want to share it with public or not, or if you want to not, that's up to you. And then you'll click upload. And there we are. You can edit that or you can delete that. The one thing I would be sure I would be careful of is one, make sure you're uploading the appropriate documents that you're allowed to. And if you're not sure, give us a call. We'll be happy to chat with you. One way I keep it straight in my head is if it's about the how to do the transaction, it doesn't go in the associated documents. It's an easy way to keep that straight. So there's that. We did the photos. Let me see in my presentation where we left off. Oh, these are important. I want to make sure I talk about this. We've got about 10 minutes left. So I want to make sure I talk about this. Your hold no showings and your contract pendings and home sale contingencies and common mistake of getting things done in the appropriate time frames. Let's say you have a property that has been active and you got an offer, you negotiated, but the seller needs, I see a couple chat things here. Hold on. Looks like Beth got you taken care of. Thank you. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. You were negotiating out, you're under contract, but the seller wants to take backup offers. That means you are going to have in there that there is a contract pending. We have fields available for that, and you need to mark the field, not do it manually. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, the system does some work for you. It's going to keep it in the active status. It's going to show that it's got a contract pending in both the agent remarks and the public remarks as the very first words. When it does close, it figures your days on market a little different. When you do it manually, you're going to be disappointed at the end when you change it over to showing. The way to do that is I'm going to my published listings. I went to my listings, went to my published listings. And why is it showing me a sold? Because the last time I was in here, I put my filter on and I didn't reset it. I'll go to my filter and take that out. And I want it to find my actives, apply, apply. And we're going to work with this one. This is one of my listings that I had. And it has a contract pending. Clicked on the three little dots and I want to not do that. I want to click on the listing. I want to click on the listing and then I want to go to contract pending. I can scroll through by opening it up and I can scroll, or I can use my search thing and start typing that in. And it brought up everything that began with CON, and contract pending is right here. This is a yes or no. You're going to click yes and apply. And when you click save, it will do the work for you. The only other thing I would tell you is before you click save is go down to your public remarks and make sure that you're not going to run out of room. And it's not going to show me this until I save it. Click save and then double check that it didn't cut. You only get so many characters in public remarks. And you'll see right here where it added that contract pending. But if I had used up all of my characters here and there weren't 353 characters left, it would cut off at the end, however many it needed to, so that that would fit. And you might want to change that. Now this is in contract pending. We're good. What if there's another situation? What if you have an offer that comes through and you've negotiated out and you've come to an agreement and you are under contract, but the buyer has a house to sell? That would be a home sale contingency. We have a thing for that too. You would go in and find that listing, go to your published, and we're going to pick on this one and we're going to click on it. And I'm going to use my search field, home. There it is. I typed in and it brought it right up. It has a home sale contingency. Again, I'm going to say yes. And when I click on save, it is going to then put home sale contingency in the agent remarks. Nothing is needed in the public remarks. If you type this in manually and do not use these fields, you are in violation. It's a real common one, both that home sale contingency and the contract pending. When it goes to sold, you're going to be unhappy with the way it figured out some stuff for you. Make sure that you're doing it in the way in which you will not be getting a violation. I clicked save and go to my remarks, and right here, subject to an existing sale contingency, and it put it in as the very first thing. If you've got a lot of agent remarks in here and used up all your characters, it's going to cut you off at the end. Make sure, check. Now, let's say everything went great and now it's sold. If I'm the agent, this is for you. And if I have somebody working for me on that, whether it is an office admin person or I've hired a TC or whatever, and you've turned your file into them, it's still agent. It's still your responsibility. And if you don't get it changed in the right amount of time, you're the one with a violation. All statuses have 2 days from which they occurred. That home sale contingency I was talking about and the contract pending going into the pending, 2 days from the time that they occurred, with the exception of it's sold. Your sold date, you have 5 days. You got to change that over. And if you miss that deadline, and the sold piece is the one that we see often, it goes into pending and it seems to hit sold. Make sure that you're getting that done in the appropriate time frame. And the same way, you go to listings, you go to publish, pick the listing that you want, click on it, and you make a change to the status. Now, this one's sold, and I'm going to click save. But there's some other information in here that should be filled out. It is saving it, and it says it found 5 issues. Let's find out what those issues are. I forgot. There's some things I have to fill out. Buyer financing. What was it? This one was conventional. Apply. What was your contract date? The date of my contract, I'm going to say, oops, was there. That should have been filled out before. Put that in there. And then it wants to know when it closed today, or it closed prior to 5 days ago. You're going to actually put in the actual close date. The sold price, should I remember how much this one is? There we go, is $675. And according to the contract, let's say it sold for $670. And then it's going to ask me for the selling agent. And I'm gonna, Beth, are you in here?
What are you looking for? I
You.
should be.
No. Denise.
What do you mean?
I wanted to put in a selling agent that was one of us. But you need to put in your selling agent. So you
Oh.
would find your selling agent in here. If they are not an agent that is an agent within GPR MLS, put in member, it's this one, unknown. They're not a member of the GPR MLS. That happens occasionally. Then we've got that. And then the rest of these things in here are optional because there's no little star on there. Up
Hey,
to you.
Casey,
Yes.
I'm going to give a quick correction for that member you selected. It's
Yes.
non-member.
Non-member. Thank you. Thank you. There. That's the one you want to use. Thank you, Renee. I would have had to come back with an email to every one of you if they hadn't been on here. If you've got somebody who's a non-member of GPR MLS, Renee is correct. Use the non-member. And if it's not, sometime that's a call we get. Use non-member. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can fill in the rest of the information if you want, but you got to make sure you get those required fields. If sellers costs were anything that was paid, maybe they gave a credit instead of fixing something. That's something that happens. And then any comments you want to put in there, as long as they don't have anything to do with commission. I still have one thing. The selling price is not within 0% of the listing. This is generated because it's asking you to double check it. I, one time as an agent, accidentally had an extra 0 in there, and it caused me a headache because I didn't pay attention to this. Make sure that you read the message, double check the information, and then click accept. Or you too might get a phone call from an appraiser saying, you've made a horrible mistake and get that fixed. And once it's sold, you can't fix it yourself. You got to call us and Beth or Renee will fix it for you. Then that one would be done. The Collab Center has an option where you can associate a seller with a property. And then they get they get a report that shows them what's happening with their listing in the MLS. And you can turn that on for them. In order to do that, the listing has to be in there and you have to sign the contact. To do that, all I did from my launch page, dashboard, homepage, any one of those things is just describing where I'm at now, is you click on the tab here for seller and you assign by clicking on the plus, find the person that you need. And then you can type in a little message here if you want to, but you also have to turn it on. And for this particular client, I want them to get it daily, but maybe it's somebody who only wants to see it once a week. If I choose weekly, it's going to go out on Monday. And if it were me, I would say, I'm going to send you a report of what's happening in the MLS with your listing, Brandon. And what time is a good time for me to call you on Monday so that we can go over the report that you're going to be getting and all the feedback that I have? You can say whatever it is you want, but that's what I used to say. You can do that. You can also have it email yourself if you want to by clicking it on weekly. You don't have to. You can turn that off if you want, and you can click save. And then once you do that, now they're going to get the report. What they're going to get, let's show you what they're going to get. First of all, they're going to be in the Collab Center. So they're going to need that Collab Center app, but they're going to see what's happening with their listing in the MLS in a report style. And this is all information that you can talk with them about. It's going to show them how many listing views, and it's within the MLS environment only. It's not going to show what's happening out on those third-party websites. It's going to show you what's happening here. It'll show them a little bit more information about the property. If you set up any broker tours, the days on market, any open houses, you've got a graph for 7 days, 14, 30, 90. It shows agent views, prospective buyer views, price changes. In the Collab Center, how many buyers that have a search set up that matches the criteria of this house? Has anybody rejected it? It keeps track of that. It's never going to tell them who it is, but it's keeping track of, hey, somebody favorited it 3 times, somebody favored it. It breaks it down to agent views versus buyer views. How many agents have recommended it to their clients? It gives them a really nice snapshot of what's happening with their listing. And I like this because this is another tool in my mental toolbox of things that I can talk with them about that shows them what the market is telling them about what's happening with their listing. It's always the market. It's never us telling them what they do or do not need to do, right? We're interpreting it for them. They can even see the competition. If this was a live listing, it would pull up what other properties are around it that have the similar criteria. I need to move my controls over here. Then it also lists it below. They can see where it is in reference to their property. They can click on it here on the map, or they can do it from down here and look and see this property and see how well it compares, the price and stuff. They have that. The other thing that I wanted to show you, and I know I'm going through this quickly, it's because we ran out of time. It's a whole nother class. And if you attend any of my Collab Center classes, I talk about this very thing, how to set it up, the whole deal. The other thing is reverse prospecting. When you have a listing and you want to see how many buyers in the MLS Collab Center have searches set up that match your listing, it keeps track of that. And you can see who the agents are that have those listings. It's never going to tell you who the buyer is, unless, of course, it's your own. And the way to do that is to be in listings, go to your published listings, choose the one you want. Here's that little more button. Reverse prospecting right here. And lo and behold, Beth has somebody. Beth, the agent, has somebody. It's showing me the prospect ID. They favorited it. It tells them when it matched. And now I can reach out. I can either call Beth, I can send her a text message right here and in here if I were on my phone, or I could email her. If there was lots of agents in here that had buyers that were interested in this property or either rejected this property or undecided, the big thing is they've got criteria that matches this listing. I could email them by clicking my email folder here, and I could type in a message here if I wanted to, or I could leave it blank and click send, and it would send it to those agents. And then, of course, they'd be contacting their folks and setting up appointments, and my listing would get sold really fast. The other thing that it will do is I'm looking at my listing here, and I want to know which one of my own contacts that I have set up in my Collab Center might be interested in this listing. I click on match my listing. Oh my goodness, look at all these clients that I have that are buyers that might be interested in my brand new listing. I could reach out to them and set up showings or talk with them about it, or I could send it to them. That is a little quick overview on reverse prospecting, the Collab Center on the seller side. Of hopefully I was able to show you a few things with listings that'll make it a little easier in adding photos. I am going to stop recording here and open up for questions